Hey guys, I just got this TV in. It's a Samsung 40-inch, um, and the problem with it is the backlight keeps flickering on, maybe something like 1 hertz, right when you plug it in. That's all that it'll do. Let me show you the model number here. Focus there. So it's the UN40EH5300F, and let me show you the activity that goes on. Alright, so here we have my isolated supply here. Going to plug it in. Going to flip it on, making sure nothing is touching anything that shouldn't. And you can see it just keeps cycling and drawing current and then stops. So I'm going to look a little bit further into it and see what we find. Okay, just an update today. What I've done is I've isolated the power supply and checked a lot of the voltages here. There we are. And checked a lot of these jumpers, and all the voltages are good. Plugged this guy in for the main board, and everything's still good. Plugged this guy in, LED drivers built into this power board here. And then we have problems. We get about, 200 volts positive here. And then once we plug this in, there's some sort of shorting. So I've kind of assumed now that there's some bad LEDs in the TV. So what we're gonna have to do now is to take it apart and test the LED strips. I should also add that when I unplug this, we don't have the flashing anymore, don't have the restarting. This creates some sort of short circuit, which screws up all the voltages, all the low voltage stuff for the logic. So with this unplugged, everything runs fine. I flipped it over, turned it on, stuck a flashlight to the screen. We can see some lettering, some picture. So we know that it's there's a problem with the LED, either driver or the LED strips. So before I order a new main board, a power supply board with the built-in LED driver, we want to check the LED strips to see if they're any good. Alright, so we've removed the paneling, diffuser, so forth. Now we're getting ready to test the LED strips. You can see looks to be 3 strips. I'm going to remove this white film here, and we'll see what's under that. Okay, so we have the LED strips exposed. There are 3. They're each driven independently through the LED driver board. And let's see what happens. We're going to test them out. Give them some power. Just going to running 21 volts. Let's do 25 volts through my DC power supply. So that's the first strip. Means we have a number of LEDs that are out. Test the second strip. Dimly lit, number of LEDs that are out. Third strip. Number of LEDs that are out. So the question is, why is it cycling? Why is the driver board cycling power? And why are so many LEDs out? So one of my guesses is that some LEDs are burnt out and maybe the others are being overvolted and so they're going. I'm not sure if they would draw too much current, and so some things to figure out, but that's where we're currently in. I was wrong. after replacing about 17 LEDs, I found one that had blown up. It's actually this one right here. Can't see it because I put the diffusers back on. But what had happened was the aluminum backing to the strip had actually shorted to the copper etching the wires on top. Not wires, but traces. So that was providing a path to ground back to the power board. So what I've had to do is put a little Kapton tape here to isolate this whole strip from the chassis. So, starting to put it back together. Hopefully my super glue will hold. It doesn't seem like it will. I'll probably have to find another glue method. And we have the latest update. It's all back and working. Looks pretty good, I think. Of course, we don't have any input hooked up to it, so it's not going to be doing much, but it is working. So, number of LEDs out. I couldn't find a problem with the power board. I looked and I looked. I couldn't find an issue, so I decided I'll buy another power board. Same problem. So it was actually just the strip, the back of the strip shorted to ground that was the problem. So because the strips are a bunch of diodes, you have to test each segment for a short to ground. And I did that the first time, didn't come up with anything. It was like a 200 ohm short to ground. So just have to, my meter didn't beep, just had to keep an eye on it. So found that, isolated the strip, everything seems to work. So another thing I learned while doing this TV was the importance of the diffusers over the LEDs. The LEDs I bought off eBay were some 1 watts. The footprints were about the same, but the polarity of the anode versus the cathode was reversed. So I actually had to mount them slightly differently than they were originally mounted, and that led them being about maybe 2 millimeters or so higher up. And I put the diffusers on exactly where they were before, and the center of the LED was no longer in the center of the diffuser. That created actually a big problem, which was quite apparent once the TV was all put back together. Without the light being diffused evenly, there's a sharp contrast making for a blotchy look on the screen. So I ended up taking the whole thing apart again, moving a lot of the diffusers to where they should be, centered right over the LED, and it seemed to fix the problem. Well, I hope this helped you in some way, and I'll catch you next time.